time for the Wells Report front page, a digest of news since yesterday's show and while we were asleep. Disaster in Hawaii. Wildfires have claimed 55 lives so far. That death toll will increase dramatically. USA Today reports the number of fatalities from catastrophic fires in Maui has reached 55. That's an official number. That was confirmed yesterday. The toll will probably surpass 60 and make the disaster the deadliest since Hawaii became a state in 1959, according to Governor Josh Green. By the way, there are, according to published reports, over 1,000 people missing. The death count continues to climb, and parts of the coastal communities have been largely destroyed, including the historic town of Lahaina. He referenced the 1960 tsunami that hit the Big Island, killing 61 people. This time, it's very likely our death tolls will significantly exceed that, I'm afraid. Green also said maybe upwards of 1,700 buildings were destroyed by the fires, which now appear to be mostly under control. Roughly 1,000 people remain missing. This according to Maui County Police Chief John Pelletier. Tucker Carlson had an interview while he was at Fox News with Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund. That report never made the air based on editorial decisions from Fox News. Tucker Carlson is now on Twitter. He has repeated that interview. He joined Tucker Carlson after the first interview was indeed spiked, and he said that there is more to the story of what happened on January 6th, 2021 than meets the eye. Department of Defense organizations make up half the intelligence community's 18 agencies. It is now apparent that both Miller and Milley, that is, those are the people that were involved, both as the director of the FBI and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, had significant concerns regarding upcoming events at the Capitol on January 6th. The decision that needs to be asked is, or the question that needs to be asked is, if Miller and Milley had such significant concerns, why weren't those concerns pursued or shared with the appropriate authorities? You know who wasn't told, said Chief Sund? Me. Instead, on January 4th, what does Miller do? He puts out a memo restricting the National Guard from carrying various weapons, any civil disobedience equipment that would be utilized for the very demonstrations or violence he sees coming. It just doesn't make any sense. The Wells Report will report completely on this in just a few minutes. Fox News is now reporting that the Biden administration is requesting Congress spend 6 times more on Ukraine in its war against Russia than on the border and fentanyl crisis plaguing the nation. This according to a new emergency spending request submitted Thursday. This is Fox News. It is biased. In the request sent to House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Biden specifically called for $24 billion in aid to Ukraine, split between $13 billion for defense and related spending and $11 billion in economic and humanitarian assistance. But President Biden only requested $4 billion in spending on the border and immigration, as well as combating fentanyl flowing into the U.S. from foreign sources. The total combined of the request reaches roughly $40 billion. The additional spending request comes after Congress approved $48 billion in funding for Ukraine in December, prior to Republicans taking control of the House of Representatives. Fox News also reports that House Republican Conference Chair, Representative Elise Stefanik of New York, she is a Republican, is blasting what she calls a, quote, damning photo, unquote, showing then Vice President Joe Biden with his Hunter Biden-linked current advisor aboard Air Force Two during his infamous 2015 trip to Ukraine. Again, biased writing. Amos Hochstein, President Biden's current special presidential coordinator, was apparently in communication with Hunter and Hunter Associates at Ukrainian energy company Burisma Holdings when the first son was serving on the firm's board. This according to emails previously reported by Fox News. A photo taken by White House photographer David Lenneman shows Biden being briefed by Hochstein aboard Air Force Two on his way to meet Ukrainian leaders in Kiev December 6th, 2015. That was when he threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. aid if they did not fire their top prosecutor, Viktor Shokin. This is a quote from Stefanik. This damning picture of then Vice President Joe Biden on Air Force Two en route to Ukraine, talking with Amos Hochstein, is just further evidence that Biden and senior officials in the Biden administration not only knew of Hunter Biden's corrupt foreign business dealings, but also that Joe Biden was intimately involved while vice president. This, again, a quote from Stefanik, reported by Fox News. CNN reports that House Oversight GOP claims that they don't need to find direct payments to President Biden to prove corruption. House Oversight Republicans laid out their intention to accuse President Biden of corruption without direct evidence that he financially benefited from Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings, a clear shift in their strategy that was once launched to investigate the president. Now, this is also biased reporting from CNN. The new strategy is highlighted in a memo released by the committee yesterday, or a day before yesterday. The memo follows the increasing drumbeat from many House Republicans, biased reporting here, and certainly the GOP presidential frontrunner Donald Trump, to pursue impeachment of the sitting president, even without a clear establishment of fact. But so far, it appears the committee has not found any direct evidence that President Biden personally benefited from any of his son's business dealings. Republicans are now insisting they don't have to. Quote, no one in the Biden administration or in the minority has explained what services, if any, the Bidens and their associates provided in exchange for over $20 million in foreign payments. Fox News is reporting that a Mississippi Democrat governor candidate took donations from a Chinese company president. A Mississippi Democrat candidate for governor took $10,000 from a Chinese national tied to the Chinese Communist Party and first son Hunter Biden. This according to campaign finance filings. June 26th, 2023. The candidate, Presley, took $10,000 from Wang Jiang, President Pin Ni. This according to campaign finance filings. Then Vice President Joe Biden hosted a White House meeting with Ni and Wang Jiang Resources Company President Yu Hong Han on July 25th, 2014, according to White House visitor logs first reported last year by the London Daily Mail. According to the CCP-run Chinese Daily, President Biden invited Wang Jiang executives to visit several cities in the U.S. at the time, including Washington, Detroit, Dover, and Delaware. USA Today reports that Senator Joe Manchin, the Democrat from West Virginia, revealed in a new interview he has absolutely thought about leaving the Democrat Party to become an independent lawmaker. I've been thinking about it for quite some time, said Manchin, talking to Virginia's Metro News Talkline. That's West Virginia's Metro News Talkline show in an interview yesterday. The brand has become so bad, the D brand and the R brand. In West Virginia, the D brand because it's nationally bad. It's not the Democrats in West Virginia. It's the Democrats in Washington or Washington policies of Democrats. You've heard me say a million times, I'm not a Washington Democrat, said Manchin. The centrist Democrat believes the business of politics has gotten so absolutely toxic, and that is a quote. The quote continues, the political parties have not delivered. That, according to Manchin, in a New Hampshire town hall meeting last month, sponsored by No Labels, a bipartisan political organization seeking to get on presidential ballots in all 50 states. Time now for international news. Out of Ecuador, 6 Colombians have been arrested in the killing of a presidential candidate. 6 men arrested in the assassination of anti-corruption Ecuadorian presidential candidate are Colombian nationals, this according to a police report. The authorities are investigating the motive for a crime that shocked the nation, already reeling from a surge in drug-related violence. 6 men were captured hiding in a house in Quito, that's Ecuador's capital. The report, by the way, was reviewed by the Associated Press. Officials seized 4 shotguns, a 5.56 millimeter rifle, ammunition, and 3 grenades, along with a vehicle and a motorcycle. Fernando Villavicencio, 59 years old, who was known for speaking up against drug cartels, was assassinated in Quito on Wednesday, less than 2 weeks before a presidential election. Ecuador's Interior Minister, Juan Zapata, had earlier confirmed the arrest of foreigners in the case, although he did not give their nationalities. The police report did not say whether the Colombians are alleged members of a criminal group. Zapata said those arrested were linked to organized crime, although he did not give more details. Out of North Korea, Kim Jong-un has fired top generals and ordered the North Korean military to, quote, gird for war. This, according to state media, reported yesterday. General Pak Soo-il was dismissed as chief of the general staff, and Vice Marshal Ri Young Gil was appointed in his place, according to the state-run Korean Central News Agency, KCNA. Other leading commanding officers were dismissed, transferred, or appointed during a meeting of the Central Military Commission on Wednesday, according to KCNA, without going into further details. The shakeup of the military was mentioned only near the end of the KCNA report, which focused more on what it said was, quote, the important issue of making the Army more thoroughly girded for war, given the grave political and military situation prevailing on the Korean Peninsula. From Navy Public Affairs, more than 10,000 sailors and Marines across 22 time zones are participating in a large-scale exercise, LSE 2023, as the U.S. Navy and Marine Corps officially kick off one of Maritime Service's largest exercises. LSE 2023 integrates 6 Navy and Marine Corps component commands and 7 U.S. numbered fleets around the globe. It merges real-world operations with virtually constructed scenarios to create a realistic training environment that allows sailors and Marines to train the way they fight. The Supreme Court back in the news today, this against Big Pharma. The Supreme Court yesterday temporarily blocked a settlement reached with OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma that required members of the Sackler family, who once controlled the company, to pay $6 billion, but shielded them from future lawsuits over the nation's opioid crisis. The High Court's decision, which was unsigned and noted no dissents, came in response to a request from the Biden administration to put the settlement reached last year between Purdue and state and local governments on hold. The Supreme Court also agreed to hear arguments in the case later this year. Celebrity news. Liberals on X, formerly known as Twitter, expressed disdain after a photo of actor Woody Harrelson was displaying support for Democrat presidential candidate RFK Jr. It appeared online. Annoyed liberals trashed the photo and the actor for supporting anti-establishment Biden rival, who made his name for himself most recently by his skepticism of COVID-19 pandemic protocols. Before that, as a champion of liberal causes and critic of childhood vaccines. A couple of people said a lot of different things. Once the image found its way to X, liberals trashed it. Shark Tank producer Andrew Kimmel shared the image saying, "We lost Woody." Leftist influencer Liberal Lisa from Oklahoma wrote, "It's official." After his S-word SNL opening monologue about COVID, now this. Woody Harrelson is dead to me. All because he wore a baseball hat.